Won't it be Ryan? No, great. I forgot to put a Phillies jersey on for this video. That's okay. Alright, and today we are talking about the NFL trade deadline. As we know, the NFL trade deadline just ended yesterday. There were so many big moves that have happened. We're going to be talking about all that. There are also some storylines that happened. So I'll also provide my insight to that. So let's just get right into it. But before we get right into it, guys, make sure you subscribe with your post notifications on. Go subscribe to my brother Landon Great Blogs. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitch at Landon Great Podcast. We are 9 subscribers away from 100 subscribers. Can we talk about it real quick? I just need 9 people to subscribe. And, yeah, I'll do something for it. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll do something. So, yes, make sure you go subscribe. Tomorrow we have an Eagles preview video coming out. And then on Friday, we will have a Eagles reaction video coming out. So, make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And yeah, let's get right into it. So, our first trade from the trade deadline, the Las Vegas Raiders receive offensive tackle Justin Herron and a 2024 7th round pick, and the Patriots have received a 2024 6th round pick. Not that big of a move, just a thought of a little bit of insight on it. I mean, he has just been placed on injured reserve with a knee injury. Not really much there, so we can just move on from that. The Cardinals. I'm sorry, we're talking about the Robbie Anderson trade in a little bit. The Browns received Deion Jones and a 2024 7th round pick, and the Atlanta Falcons received a 2024 6th round pick. And also, just for some insight, I'm doing trades that I never reacted to. It was just before the trade deadline. I think, a week, 2 weeks before, whatever the hell, I don't know. So, I think that this trade actually really helps the Cleveland Browns. Deion Jones is a veteran linebacker. While he's not in his prime, he still is okay. I think he brings that veteran leadership to the locker room, and also I definitely think he can be more of an impact player on the Browns, because as we know, the Falcons, as presently constructed, are going nowhere, and I think they kind of want to play younger guys, but the Browns will play him, and he'll be able to, I think he'll be able to help that defense, because when Cleveland loses, they're always giving up 30 points. I think one game against Baltimore they gave up 23, but all the games they lose, they're giving up a lot of points, so I think he'll be able to help in that regard. This is probably the biggest trade here. The 49ers receive Christian McCaffrey, a 2020, and the Panthers receive a 2023 second rounder, 2023 third rounder, 2023 fourth rounder, 2024 fifth rounder, 2024 sixth rounder, and 2025 seventh rounder. This trade has really been working out for the Panthers so far. I have to move this stuff out of the way. Okay. I'll do that later. Yes, I think this trade has been working out really well for the San Francisco 49ers against the Los Angeles Rams. He had 18 carries for 94 yards, an average of 5.2 yards a carry. He had a receiving touchdown, a passing touchdown, and a rushing touchdown. He looks like he can return to become one of the best running backs in the league. He got the most fantasy points as well in this week. I don't play fantasy, but I just heard about it. So this trade is definitely working out very well for the San Francisco 49ers. They're 100% a contender now. Do I really think they should have done the trade? Personally, I don't think I would have done the trade. And I know people say, wait a minute, it's Christian McCaffrey. He does have an injury history, so I think I would have been scared of that. But you got to remember, he is Christian McCaffrey, so I don't know, maybe I'm just stupid. But the trade has been working out for San Francisco, and as long as he stays healthy, they can be a legit contender for the Super Bowl and be the biggest threat to the Eagles. I think they probably are the biggest threat to the Eagles, to be honest. The Jets receive running back James Robinson. Also, before we move on to that, I just want to say, the Panthers didn't even get a first-round pick. They should have gotten a first-round pick for Christian McCaffrey. That's what I would have done, but I don't know. Moving on. The Jets traded for running back James Robinson, and in return, the Jacksonville Jaguars got a 2023 conditional 6th-round pick. I really don't think the move does much for the Jets. I think that Breece Hall was a special breed, so yeah. James Robinson's obviously okay, but I think that Travis Etienne's a lot better. I think this actually works out more for the Jaguars than it does for the Jets, because the Jaguars, I think they wanted to feature Etienne more, but they know that James Robinson is really pretty good. But I think this was a good way to dump him off the roster and develop Etienne. I think it's also good for I think it's also okay for the Jets because they do get a replacement for Breece Hall while he's recovering from his ACL injury, but the Jets losing Breece Hall was absolutely terrible because I think he was their entire offense, and I just don't think anybody really could replace him like that. The Cowboys receive defensive tackle Jonathan Hankins and a 2024 7th-round pick. The Raiders receive a 2023 6th-round pick. I don't really think this does much. I think the Cowboys do add a little bit more depth. I can't say that word. They add a little more depth to their roster. I really don't think it does much for Houston. I'm sorry, for Las Vegas, you get a 6th-round pick, so that's pretty good. I already talked about the Eagles with Robert Quinn, so make sure you guys go check out that short that I posted. And next, this was one of the bigger moves. The Chiefs receive wide receiver Kadarius Toney, and the New York Giants receive a 2023 3rd-rounder and a 2023 6th-rounder. The Giants, I think they were kind of lucky to get a 3rd-round pick because Toney's always been injured. While he does have potential, he's always hurt, and I just don't think the Giants need that on their roster because they are 6-2, and they want to try and compete for a playoff spot this year. I don't think they need any of that on their roster. For the Chiefs, I think this works really well. Their receiving core is absolutely amazing. Now Kadarius Toney is healthy. He's ready. It looks like he's ready to go. I don't think he hasn't really done much. I don't think he's done much yet. Let me see the stats here. Yeah, he really hasn't even played. He hasn't really done anything. I think he's cleared, so I'm not entirely sure. But this definitely works out for the Chiefs because now their receiving core is up. When you still have Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Hardman. So you have all that, and now you're adding Kadarius Toney, who can be a pretty good receiver in the league, right? So I think that works out well. Next, the Baltimore Ravens receive linebacker Roquan Smith, and the Bears receive linebacker AJ Clean, a 2023 2nd-round pick, and a 2023 5th-round pick. This move is great for Baltimore, a defense that has been looking better ever since in the beginning of the season where your defense was looking absolutely terrible. He's 3rd in tackles this year, Roquan Smith. So obviously that helps with the tackling. This really doesn't help much with the pass rush, but I think it helps more in coverage where I think that the Ravens have been struggling at just a little bit. So I think this definitely works out for the Ravens really well. The Bears, you get AJ Clean. I don't know too much about him. He's nothing special. Only 4 tackles this year. He's been in the league ever since 2013, so he's lasted. I don't seem like he has that much playing time. But you get a 2nd-round pick. I think that works out well. Maybe you can get an early 2nd-rounder. Probably not. But hey, the Bears are kind of are in like a mini rebuild phase. While they have Justin Fields, they don't really have much else around him, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So I think they just need to use their picks and try and get somebody to help Fields. The Vikings receive tight end TJ Hockenson, a 2023 4th-round pick, and a 2024 conditional 4th-round pick. The Lions receive a 2023 2nd-round pick and a 2024 3rd-round pick. This trade was ace, like an ace trade. If I were grading, I would give the Vikings an A-. Not an A+, obviously, because, he's not the greatest tight end in the world. But, hey, Irv Smith Jr. is on IR. TJ Hockenson is one of the best tight ends in the NFC, maybe even even in the NFL right now. He's great. He's great. He's really good, great receiving the ball. It gives Kirk Cousins just another weapon to throw to with Justin Jefferson, with Adam Thielen, and he still have Dalvin Cook coming out of the backfield, while Kirk Cousins has looked better. So I think this really does work out. For the Lions, you get a 2nd-round pick. What can you do? Once again, it's another team in a rebuilding phase. So, they've been rebuilding for the past million years. So, you get a pick, so it's fine. The Bears receive wide receiver Chase Claypool, and in return, the Steelers get a 2023 2nd-round pick. This trade was one of my sneakiest trades in the trade deadline. I think this trade is great for the Chicago Bears, as we know that the Steelers have receivers that are overshadowing Chase Claypool. They have Deontay Johnson, and Pickens has emerged. So Claypool, I feel like, is getting overshadowed, and in Chicago, he'll have Justin Fields, and it'll also give Justin Fields another weapon to throw to. And I really like Chase Claypool, obviously coming out of Notre Dame, that's why I like him. But I still never forget that game where he was absolutely lighting up the Eagles. We cannot forget about that game. It only happened a year ago. Chase Claypool can be a top receiver in the league if he's used right. This year, he's got 32 receptions for 311 yards, and only 1 touchdown. He's not featured that much. Yeah, but I think he can definitely have a 1,000-yard season, because last year he had 186 yards, or 800. I'm sorry, he had 860 yards, and the year before that he had 873 yards. So he's definitely capable of having a 1,000-yard season. And like in his rookie year, 62 receptions last year, 59 receptions this year, 32 receptions. So he'll get the ball a lot more in Chicago. I'm sorry. So I think this move really works out for the Chicago Bears. And for the Steelers, I mean, you get a second-round pick. That's where you drafted Claypool. Do I think this was the greatest move in the world for them? No. But hey, you still got Deontay Johnson. You still got George Pickens. You still got your tight end. I forget his name. That's not intentional. I just don't remember his name. I know he's pretty good. So I think this works out for the Steelers in the sense that they got a pick and they still have weapons, but not really a good quarterback or offensive line. But yeah, we'll have to see. The Steelers receive cornerback William Jackson III and a 2025 7th rounder. The Washington Commanders received a 2024 6th-round pick. I don't really know too much about William Jackson III. I really don't know who he is. Apparently he's got a back injury. It doesn't seem like he's that special, to be honest, so we can just move on from that. The Miami Dolphins received running back Jeff Wilson Jr., and in return, the San Francisco 49ers received a 2023 5th-round pick. With trading away Chase Edmonds, I think this gives you a good chance to replace Chase Edmonds. Also, the Miami Dolphins receive a running back who has 92 carries this year with 468 yards, which is 14th in the NFL right now. So he's definitely a capable running back. He's obviously not one of the best running backs in the NFL, but he can get the job done. I feel like that's all Miami needs on the ground right now. And for the San Francisco 49ers, well, you don't really get that much. You get a 5th-round pick. Honestly, you probably could have got more, but whatever. The Jacksonville Jaguars received wide receiver Calvin Ridley, and the Atlanta Falcons received a 2023 5th-round pick and a 2024 conditional 4th-round pick. Obviously, this year, this trade does not mean anything because Calvin Ridley is out with suspension. But next year, I don't know. There's something about this trade that I just don't like. Can you trust Calvin Ridley? Obviously, he shouldn't have been suspended for the whole year. I think we all can agree on that. But can he be trusted? You're not supposed to gamble on your team. There's no excuse. You should not be gambling on your team to win. But he shouldn't have been suspended for the whole year. But can he really be trusted, being the fact that he was gambling on his team to win? I don't know. Has he learned his lesson? Sure. Can he get in other problems? Yeah. But I don't think obviously they should. Obviously, I would have done the trade too. Calvin Ridley can be one of the best receivers in the NFL. In 2020 he did have that 1,000-yard season, and before that he had 800 yard seasons, and then he only played 5 games in 2021. So he does have an injury history as well, so that could go into effect. But this is probably a good trade for Jacksonville, and there's really no excuse anymore for Trevor Lawrence to not make some noise. The Broncos received defensive end Jacob Martin, a 2024 5th-round pick, and the Jets receive a 2024 4th-round pick. I don't think this trade really means much, to be honest. Jacob Martin doesn't have that much stats. So what are you going to do? It's not really much of a trade. The Bills receive running back Naheem Hines, and the Colts receive running back Zach Moss, and a 2023 6th-round pick. I think this trade works out for both teams because the Bills are receiving Naheem Hines, who is a great pass-catching receiver. I think there was some stat from like 2018. He's had 1,000 yards receiving, and that's as a running back. And as if the Bills needed another pass catcher, he can also run the ball pretty well. I think he's more of a short wide receiver, but it definitely helps him. Helps him in the passing game. For the Colts, Zach Moss. I don't really know too much about him. I've heard of him though. This year he's had 17 carries for 91 yards. I don't know too much about him, as I just said, but I mean, I think he's a capable wide receiver. I think he can get it done. And that's about it on that. The Falcons receive cornerback Rashad Fenton, and the Chiefs receive a 2023 conditional 7th round pick. Not really much of a trade either. He does have a hamstring injury. 18 tackles this year. Not much of a trade there. But I mean, Falcons had some extra cornerback depth. I'm not saying that word anymore. And second to last, the Bills receive safety Dean Marlowe, and the Falcons receive a 2023 7th round pick. Once again, not really much of a trade. Doesn't really affect teams in any other way. Now, I saved this one for last. The Bradley Chubb trade. The Dolphins receive Bradley Chubb, a 2025 5th round pick, and the Broncos receive a 2023 first round pick, a 2024 4th round pick, and running back Chase Edmonds. I'll talk about the Dolphins first, obviously. The Dolphins, this is a great trade for the Dolphins. Are the Dolphins the biggest contender to go to the Super Bowl? No. Does this get them closer? Yes. Are they a top 5 team in the AFC? Probably. I don't think they're better than, obviously not better than Buffalo. They did beat Buffalo, but that was Buffalo's worst game of the season, so we got to give them a pass on that. They're obviously not better than Kansas City. I don't think they're better than Baltimore. Did they beat Baltimore this year? I don't even know. I don't think so. They played, but I don't remember. I don't think they're better than Baltimore one way or the other. Are they better than Cincinnati? Maybe. I'm not sure. Are they better than Denver? Yeah. So they probably are a top 5 team. Are they better than the Jets? Yeah, probably. Why am I talking about the Jets in the first place? So, yeah, they definitely are a top 5 team. They have division round ceiling, I guess you could say. I don't think they're going to the AFC Championship game. I think that's the Bills and the Chiefs. But they definitely have division round status. I don't think their team's experienced enough. But this trade is really good. I kind of compare it to the Rams and Broncos trade last year's trade deadline, where the Rams traded for Von Miller and won the Super Bowl. Obviously, this is not that trade. I don't think that Bradley Chubb is Von Miller. And the Dolphins defense is nothing like what the Rams is. But this trade is definitely amazing for the Dolphins. They add some depth to a O-line group, to a linebackers group that I don't know too much about, but I don't think it's like anything special. So this makes it pretty special. The Broncos receive running back Chase Edmonds. Edmonds is obviously a very capable running back. He was in that dual threat rushing attack with the Arizona Cardinals. So that definitely works out for the Broncos a little bit. They have somebody to add. They have a dual threat rushing attack now with Melvin Gordon, so I think that works out for them. You get a first round pick too. 4th round pick don't mean much, but you get that first round pick. Just hope Miami loses a lot of games and you get an early pick. And we're talking about some storylines. The Cardinals signed free agent J. Hill, my old Eagle. So yeah, that helps the Cardinals defense out a little bit. No trades for Elijah Moore. I'm actually pretty surprised about that. Also, Denzel Mims. I was kind of surprised that not Denzel Moore. I was kind of surprised that Elijah Moore did not get traded. I know he doesn't really want to be there. I was kind of surprised that they didn't dump him. But he'll probably end up leaving anyway, so I don't think it matters much. Brandon Cooks did not get dealt away, so I think that was pretty crazy, because I thought the Texans were going to want to get some second-round picks or third-round picks for him. but it ultimately didn't end up getting done. I think it was kind of stupid, to be honest. I would have just dumped him. Your team's in rebuilding phase, and I would have done him a favor just by getting him out of there. Brandon Cooks is obviously a very capable wide receiver. He just doesn't get any buzz because he's on the Houston Texans. The Browns did not trade running back Kareem Hunt. I'm not surprised by it, to be honest. They do want a dual threat rushing attack, and they want to compete for a championship when Deshaun Watson comes back. Well, they're 3-5, so who knows if they can compete. But obviously they want to compete when Deshaun Watson comes back, and I think they just want to see what he'll do with a dual threat rushing attack, because he's also a running back himself. He can also be a runner himself, so that's 3 capable runners in your backfield. So I think maybe they'll trade in this offseason, but I'm not surprised he didn't get dealt. But the Cowboys were looking into Brandon Cooks. Thank God that Houston are not dealing to the Cowboys, for goodness sakes. I'm a big fan of Brandon Cooks. I definitely think he's very capable once again. But he does not get the attention because he's on the Houston Texans. But the Cowboys do have James Washington coming back. They have CeeDee Lamb, who's continuing to improve himself. Michael Gallup's getting back into the mix. I don't really think they need him, to be honest. But thank God he wasn't traded to the Cowboys. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. More of a longer video today. A lot of trades that happened, a lot of trades that went down. Tomorrow will be an Eagles preview, and then Friday will be a reaction, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Like, subscribe, turn your post notifications on. Go subscribe to my brother Lee and the Great Blogs. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitch at Ryan the Great Podcast. And as always, Ryan the Great out. Peace.